It's day 2 of Thanks Karen, Karen's Giving. I don't know what we're calling this week of cinematic joy to celebrate Thanksgiving with Thanksgiving movies, but we are on day number 2 of it. And the movie we're talking about today is Scent of a Woman. And if I was half the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this movie. And today we're talking about Scent of a Woman from the year 1992. This was directed by Martin Brest, who also directed Beverly Hills Cop and Midnight Run. And it was written by Bull Goldman, or adapted by, I should say, although there's quite a lot of adaptation that happens here. Maybe we'll get to talk about this some more, but this is based on a 1974 Italian novel, as well as a 1974 Italian film, which is both like just the Italian word for scent of a woman. But it's like La Perfumia La Donna or something like that. I did not put the name down, but you trust me that my Italian's good. I don't think you believe me, but I promise it's true. It's starring Al Pacino and Chris O'Donnell and Care Bear. Yeah. Did you see any other recognizable celebrities in this movie? Any other recognizable actors, etc.?
Yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That was my favorite.
He was a really young
I
guy.
totally forgot he was in this too. So when I was watching it, I thought, hey, who is? Because he doesn't really look like you remember him looking either, because he's so young. So that was a fun little treat for me. Go ahead.
I saw him saw his name in the credits, but it wasn't very high up on the credits. So I was like, okay, well he's in this or whatever. The head of the school. He looks familiar to me, too.
He looks real familiar, but I don't know who he is. I couldn't tell you his name to save my life.
I think he's played some real jerks in some other movies.
I would call him like it's not David Strathairn, but it's kind of that type of actor, a little younger. Yeah, he's kind
of like typecast. The guy who plays the son or the nephew at the Thanksgiving dinner.
He looked real familiar to me.
He is a jerk in a lot of the stuff he's in. He's in that new show I told you about, Death by Lightning. He plays... I
watched a little bit of that.
Yeah, he's the guy from Maine. Hancock, I think is his name.
Blaine?
Girl that he's dancing the tango with. She looks really familiar. She almost looks like a really young Kimberly Paisley Williams from like when she was in Father of the Bride. Because that lady kind of looked like her.
You said she was from what? The girl who was tangoing with?
I think it's Kimberly Paisley Williams. That's who it looks like, a really young Kimberly Paisley Williams from like Father of the Bride, because that was around that same time. Even though she had an accent, I think she had like a British or French or something. She was trying to have an accent, maybe, I don't know. But she also kind of looks like who's the French lady that's she has darker hair? No,
Monica Bellucci.
She's not French.
I know, but you could have been wrong. You might have thought she was French when she's not.
This lady is Marion
Cotillard?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, she was in the Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, she kind of looks like her too, like maybe a younger her.
Well, this was made for a budget of $31 million, and it recorded a box office of $134 million. So I think that's a pretty good return. Of course, this was a lauded film. Before we talk about it anymore, I just want to let everybody know that there will be spoilers. So this is your spoiler warning. If you don't want to have this very old film, Scent of a Woman, spoiled for you, then you'll want to quit watching now. But you don't have to, because you can do whatever you want. I don't tell you what to do. I'm not your dad. Are you ready for the synopsis? Mm-hmm. Okay. So a private school kid gets a job babysitting a blind veteran over Thanksgiving break.
I think that was perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, here's my first question for you. Do you like Pacino's acting choices in this movie?
I don't know. I think from what I know about blind people, I think in some ways he overacted. It was just weird to see him like, I don't know, like you know how sometimes most blind people have like the discoloration in their eyes? Like he didn't have any of that. He just kind of was like looking off into space, and then I don't know. I don't think it should have won an Academy Award for his acting, but also it might have been something that had never been done before. And so when he did it, people probably were like, "Oh, this is great." You know what I mean? I've seen so many of that stuff, that kind of thing like now,
Well, there's
but he wasn't even blind. Why couldn't they have used a real
yeah.
blind
Well,
person?
back then they never did, but
Yeah.
it wasn't the first time that was done. Other
Okay.
sighted actors had played blind people quite a bit. You
I
know,
guess
there's a
because
long
he had
tradition of
done
that.
it well or
What
well enough, I guess.
I guess I 100% agree with you that this performance to me didn't seem Oscar worthy, but of course he did win it. There's always that question though, did he win this one because they realized they screwed up when they didn't give it to him for Godfather 2? You know, I always feel like sometimes the Academy is rewarding what you did before this movie instead of what you did in this movie, because I got to say, I think this movie is a clear demarcation of when Al Pacino's acting prowess started to decline. I think winning the Oscar for this made him turn into like this gruff, scream out your line delivery guy for every movie he made after this.
Crotchety old man, like
It's even worse than that because it's just bad acting. I mean, you can be
Yeah.
a crotchety old man in a good way, but it's just too much of the hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Just, he could not get that out of his system.
I think that was he was supposedly in the military. I think but he was saying "oorah," and that wasn't. That's like Marine Corps. But I think he was in the Army because
I
kept
would
calling
not.
him
He
like
was in
Colonel,
the Army.
right?
I had to learn all these with my current job,
Yeah.
and they all sound alike. There's a oorah, a ooh-ha, a hoo-wah, and a woo-wah. I mean, for real, they're
Yeah,
all
but I don't think the
identical.
Army says what he
They
said.
do. It is the Army one.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I looked it
because
up.
I was like,
looked it up, but
I was like,
the
is
Army
he
one.
mixing the Army and the Marine
Nope,
Corps?
he's doing the correct one, because my whole time as a kid, I thought he was doing a Marine thing, and then I watched it this time and saw he was Army. And I remember I had to like learn the different branches battle cry or whatever they call
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I do remember they were all so much alike that I couldn't really remember which was which, being a lifetime civilian.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, and he's using the Army one. But
Okay.
it really, he does seem more like a Marine, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And which came out first, this or A Few Good Men? I always get my wires crossed on that.
I think A Few Good Men. I feel like A Few Good Men was like 91, maybe.
So, you know, if he had been a Marine, that's maybe just too similar to Jack Nicholson's character from A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
And also, I think I read that they had considered Jack Nicholson for this role that Pacino has, but the director, Martin Brest, firmly had Pacino in mind, so that's who got the role. But this movie really had a long development. It kind of surprised me. Like, I want to know more about this Italian film that it's based on. Like, is it some kind of beloved European cinema? Because people immediately wanted to make an English language version of this. And they started in 1974 working on getting the rights
Oh, wow.
and making this movie. And,
Took them
it
long
took them,
enough.
took them 18 years before it hit theaters. And along the way, it had some interesting turns and twists. Like, this was originally going to be a Cannon film. This was going to be produced and distributed by Cannon Pictures.
Oh.
You know, Golem and Globus, the people
Yeah.
that did things like Break-In and Over the Top and Missing in Action, Enter the Ninja, Ninja 3 The Domination. I mean, they were in that kind of like weird territory between A movie and B movie studio. Like, they were either an A- or a B+. I consider more of a B+. So I could only imagine how this would have been if it was made by them. But they were also, you know, they're two Israeli executives running the business, so they're a little bit more familiar with European tastes. So they might have been more familiar with this movie earlier on. But it just kind of kept bouncing around until eventually Martin Brest got brought on to direct, and he had to have Pacino, and he got Pacino. And I guess the rest is history. This is considered a big hit film.
Yeah.
It
Was this Chris O'Donnell's like first?
I don't know
big
the answer
movie?
to that. I know that this
It has
Is
to be
this-
before Batman, right?
this is before he was. I think it's the same. No, this is before Batman and Robin,
Yeah.
and it's before Batman Forever, because '92 would have been Batman Returns
Yeah.
era, because '89 was the first one. So yes, this is before he is Robin.
I feel like he was in some other stuff though.
Was he in like Dead Poets Society or some of that stuff? He seems like he
Maybe.
would have fit in that, and being in Dead Poets Society would absolutely make you fit into this movie here with the whole private school thing.
Yeah. Well, I thought he was a terrible actor in this. His like, and Al Pacino's I could like live with, but I thought Chris O'Donnell was just so flat. He was just a pretty face and had like a baby face and those really pretty like blue eyes, but he was supposed to be 16. I know what our kids look like at 16. I didn't believe that a bit, but just his mannerisms, he just was like he was a little too soft. It just was not good. Like Al Pacino's like maybe overacted, but he was like more believable, but Chris O'Donnell was just flat.
I think we're kind of in a little disagreement there. I think I liked O'Donnell's performance. He
Oh,
seemed to me like a
I don't
person who
know.
lacks confidence. He's in over his head.
Yeah.
I feel like the actor trying to act opposite Pacino at this stage in his career is a lot like this guy in his stage in life and his quest for manhood, trying to get along with this alpha guy. I think the last words I do want to say on Pacino's performance, though, it's the
Mhm.
line delivery that I don't like. I can't
Mhm.
stand the way he growls out his lines, and he just thinks he's really doing a great job.
I
That
think
bothers
that's
me.
his character, though.
But well,
His
please let me
character.
finish.
Okay.
Also, I think his physical acting is very good. I work with low vision individuals. I work with blind veterans. His physical acting is good. I have never met a blind veteran with his attitude, ever. And I think that it's doing a little bit of disservice maybe to some veterans by painting them as like bitter alcoholics. Some folks can get their injuries and still like be glad that they're still alive and be glad for resources and things. So I felt like, and this is an individual's depression, but I feel like they tried to blur the lines between his life experience and that individual. And I just felt like the people who wrote this maybe could have spent a little more time around blind veterans. I know that Al Pacino did spend some time with blind folks, but I don't know if they were blind veterans. And then the Italian movie, the guy's still active duty. So, the character he's based on is all rough and gruff, but he's still an active duty colonel because in Italy, I guess, they still value your mind so that even if your body fails, they'll keep you around as a colonel to think through situations. So I think they have him behaving as if he's still active duty, even though he's retired. And I just felt some disconnect on that performance. But I'm just one guy and I'm not an expert. Chris O'Donnell, I liked him a little bit better, but Philip Seymour Hoffman, so young here, but I think he's a natural. I mean, he just is always good.
He didn't have very much to say, so I just didn't
Yeah,
like.
it's
He
a
was just
small
kind of like
role.
a small character. Yeah, it wasn't anything that stood out.
Had you ever seen this movie before? Because you would have been pretty young in '92.
I'd heard of this movie, but I'd never seen it, and I now I've seen it like 3 or 4 times because I had to just restart, start over
So
several times.
this
So
is how you discovered. I saw this in the theater because
because you're old.
I was 18. I was 18 when it came
When
out.
I was 12, I would not be
Yeah.
watching this kind of
Well,
stuff.
every 18-year-old kid thinks things like Scarface and The Godfather are cool, or at least we did
Hmm.
back then. So, an Al Pacino movie, I had to go out and see it. And this is not a movie an 18-year-old enjoys seeing. So, I totally did not understand the love for it then. And I thought, okay, some time has passed. I got some perspective. Let me watch it now. I don't feel that differently now than I did when I was 18, as far as the same things kind of bugged me. I just have maybe I feel more justified now that I'm older. But
Hmm.
at the time as a kid, I was kind of turned off by him just chomping at everybody, and I still felt that way this time. Did they give him a soft touch at all? Like I don't know. I mean, they tried. They had a couple moments where he broke down and like he falls over in the bushes when he's on like Fifth Avenue or something in Manhattan. There are a couple things where maybe they tried to make him feel sympathetic. I don't know. Did you really ever sympathize for this guy? Even his story, he did it to himself, self-inflicted wound.
I think what the moments where he was like not feeling well, I felt bad for him when he was like when he got done driving the Ferrari. Like I think there
Yeah.
are moments where he just was like, "Oh, this maybe isn't as great as I had thought it was going to be in my mind." Like,
Or one thing I wondered, and I don't know if that's the case or not, but like after he drove the Ferrari, I thought he was trying to walk out in traffic and die because he thought this would be a great time to die. I'm so high on having driven a Ferrari. I want to die like this, feeling this way, and not die feeling pathetic.
maybe I think he
It's
was
just me
just
guessing. Consider it was a suicide trip. I kind of maybe read too much into it.
yeah. I think he just had completed everything on his list.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
probably it. Like the bucket list. I kind of forget about that movie.
yeah.
But did people even say bucket list before that movie came out?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did. But that is a movie for another day. We'll have a funeral themed month sometime and do all movies where people die at the end. Oh, that would be so sad.
Ugh.
Chris Rock auditioned for this film. How different do you think this movie would be with Chris Rock?
Oh, I don't think people would have liked it as much because it would have felt more like a Driving Miss Daisy type thing, and it would have had some kind of racial undertones.
I just think that like Chris Rock and Chris O'Donnell are too close in age to work together like that. Like if Chris Rock is supposed to be a blind veteran.
Oh, was he going to be the one?
No, he was like 20 years old. I'm being what do they call him? A jackhole. I'm being a jackhole right now. No, that was kind of a take on a joke that Tracy Morgan told on 30 Rock when he said, I almost got that role in Rush Hour, but at the last minute they gave it to Jackie Chan instead.
Oh.
It's that kind of a joke. So, you think he's the Chris O'Donnell role, and I say it's Al Pacino. But he really did audition for this. I think this is a better movie with Chris Rock. I think Chris Rock's a talented guy. I think he does a better job than Chris O'Donnell, who I'm not really complaining about Chris O'Donnell. Chris Rock brings something this movie is sorely missing for a viewer like me, and that's a little bit of levity. You just can't have all this tension without a little lightness in there.
No.
I think they thought they were giving us some lightness with that Ferrari scene.
Would it
but
have been a comedy? Like, no, I can't see him playing in a serious role.
Well, I think he would have been.
Has he
good
been played in other like movies where he was a serious role?
He was in that Spiral movie, but I didn't see it.
He probably was making all kinds of one-liners and ad-libbing and stuff anyway.
I saw him play a pretty serious character on what's that name of that show? Everybody Hates Chris. He plays a guidance counselor and he doesn't crack jokes.
Yeah. I don't know if
I do think he makes it a better movie. I think he brings some levity, some charisma. I think it's a more interesting film with some of those dynamics.
You think he would because he didn't.
Yeah,
he wasn't in it, so.
Yeah, but
but you're saying you're acting like he was already in it. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this movie, really. I think you said the same thing when we kind of like talked about it. You were like, I don't like this movie. I don't like it much either. It touched on Thanksgiving, but not like what we had expected it to be. I guess it didn't revolve around Thanksgiving as much as we thought it would. Not as much as like Son-in-Law did, but this one, I think people just say that it's a Thanksgiving movie because it has Thanksgiving break in it, but I don't consider it like a heartfelt something. Yeah. I don't know. It's strange.
Thanksgiving's just the framing device.
Yeah.
Because they need something where, like, why would you hire a high school kid to spend a day or two, not an hour or two? Why would you hire a high school kid to spend a couple days with an older person who needs help? Well, Thanksgiving's a good reason for it. Why would a kid do this instead of going home? Well, he wants to make money for a Christmas trip, Yeah. So I think it was a nice little framing device. I mean, it could have easily been another holiday. It doesn't have to be Thanksgiving, but I think it makes sense that it's Thanksgiving. People travel a lot. Nice little school break. But no, other than the scene at his brother's house, which I think might be one of the best scenes in the movie, there's not a whole lot of Thanksgiving in here. I don't really think, other than the date on the calendar and the fact that we get that one scene, which really culminates with the disagreement between Pacino's character and his nephew. Bradley Whitford is what I was calling him, even though I don't know his name.
You asked me if there was some times when I felt sympathetic. I think I felt sympathetic there because his nephew was just digging and digging and digging at him. And yeah, he had been a jerk and had been a jerk in the past, and then he reacted and grabbed him and stuff. And I think I felt bad because they were saying, so we didn't have any context really. We kind of had an idea of maybe what had been done in the past, but I felt like I was Chris O'Donnell's character right there, where he was like, hey, this is a family thing. Like, leave the guy alone, Because we didn't really know a whole lot about him still.
And I don't know if the nephew really deserves to be labeled as a jerk, because I feel like Al Pacino kind of started the discord. Like, the nephew was happy to just keep his mouth quiet, but Al Pacino was like egging him on, trying to get a reaction out of him, intentionally calling his wife by the wrong name. I know the first time.
I feel like I know people like that.
I do too.
I know people like that in this room that have done those types of things
Yeah.
before.
Well, that's just why
But
I'm
that doesn't
asking you.
mean like I don't like I feel like you should be attacked for that, or you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I thought it was funny. That's the funny part to
I
me.
thought it was the best scene. I was
Yeah.
definitely most engrossed in it. A lot of it felt the most real.
Yeah.
Probably
Something like that would happen
mhm.
in Thanksgiving at our house.
Thanksgiving's not
Well,
in our house.
well, not our
in
house,
my
but like
in-laws'
in our
houses.
families. Yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Feels
Yeah.
like something that would happen to somebody that and we would witness it. So
Yeah. But it just felt the most verisimilitude of any of the scenes here.
hmm
Some of the scenes are pretty ridiculous. The whole scene driving the Ferrari pulled me so out of this movie. First off, a blind person driving a car, it just doesn't really happen,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean, it just doesn't. And then on top of that, they're in New York City.
yeah.
Now, I'm assuming that the Ferrari dealership's going to be on the island, but I could be wrong. But have you ever?
I don't think there's any car dealerships in Manhattan.
Okay, because the times we go to New York, we don't really venture outside of Manhattan, but I've never seen an alleyway just completely empty enough that a blind man could drive
They
his car.
were in Brooklyn.
Is
'Cause that was
Brooklyn
the
empty?
Brooklyn Bridge.
Okay, is
Yeah, right there
Brooklyn's empty
near the
like that?
Brooklyn Bridge. It looks just like that.
Okay, so
That
they don't
was
have people on the
believable.
sidewalks and
No,
stuff.
no, there's like streets like that. I've walked those streets
Okay,
to
and
eat and stuff. So.
that's why I first
Where
off
Brooklyn
said-
is like the coastline where the bridge is, it definitely looks like that, where
Okay.
it's a little empty. No, there's cars parked on the street. Now that street looked like there was nothing, there. There weren't any cars, but maybe that.
Well, that's why I opened by
Yeah.
saying, I'm assuming it's in Manhattan, and
Yeah.
this does not look like Manhattan. Well, there's a good reason for it.
Yeah.
It was in Manhattan.
If you look in the background, you can see that there's the Brooklyn Bridge there. So
I'm just always pulled out whenever I see a New York scene,
Yeah.
and they've obviously blocked I mean, you got to block it off to film the scene, but then they don't.
but they
put
took all the
extras.
cars out of it.
Yeah, they
too.
don't. They don't have cars parked up by the sidewalk.
Yeah.
They don't have extras. At least a few people walking down, as he's driving along and like
Yeah.
pointing and saying, "Slow down."
And the
That's
cop-
what I would
the cop-
expect.
Oh, that was another thing. The
That cop
cop
looked
was
familiar.
too, and we were trying to figure out where he's from. We'll have to look that up later.
But I just was taken out of it. The blind guy driving the Ferrari scene, I felt like it went on too long too.
Yeah.
Like we didn't need as much of it as we got. It was
Yeah.
totally unbelievable. This movie's already too long. This movie's
Okay.
like 2.5 hours
It
long.
did drag, I thought.
And it doesn't need to be that long. And you could have easily just cut that whole Ferrari scene out. Or if you
Yeah.
are going to have it, they go in to get it and you have De Niro just drive it a little bit and then the cop pull him over. You don't
mean
need.
Pacino?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Pacino, De Niro, Italians all
I
look
get
alike
them
to me. I'm
confused
sorry.
too.
But it's just. They could have trimmed that whole thing down. I don't know that it added anything because we already had the same kind of moments, other impressive things that a blind guy's doing. We
Yeah.
did get to see him kind of confront the cop. I don't know. I don't know if they sold me on anything in that whole sequence. I didn't find it believable when he fooled the cop. I just didn't
Yeah.
believe any of that. It would have been believable if he had crashed into a parked car.
Yeah.
And then they just took off running and said, "Oh God, what are we going to do?" And it turns into Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
That I would have believed. You know what? I don't care how much you big talk a Ferrari dealer. I don't know if they're just throwing you the keys to a Ferrari without like the salesman riding with you. Like even when we test drove a Saturn, the salesman rode with us.
There's a couple times that I've driven a car without the salesperson.
But it was not a $300,000 car.
No, no.
I
Yeah.
think they give me. They're pretty.
He,
They don't
he
even-
gave him some money though. He said, "Here's a
He
however
did
many, and I'll
bribe.
give
He
you
did bribe the guy.
a check
so
for $100,000."
so I guess that bribery did work.
Yeah.
But because Robert De Niro deserves.
You mean?
I'm going to do that every time. What's his character's
Al
name?
Pacino.
Do you remember what his
The
character's name
Colonel.
was? The Colonel.
Just call him the Colonel.
All right, the Colonel.
Just don't call him Sir. Call
The-
him the Colonel.
Lieutenant Colonel. The Lieutenant Colonel
Yeah.
deserves a lot of respect for serving the country. He
Mm-hmm.
deserves, some support and that sort of thing. But I don't know if retired lieutenant colonels have like throw money around kind of money. I really don't have any idea about the finances. But
Well, he was living with his niece, right?
yeah,
So he didn't have any payments or anything, and
And
he was getting military retirement, so that
yeah,
probably just builds up and
he
builds up.
well he said he had 26 years, so he's going to get a pension. The pension's probably going to be based on what grade he was when he retired.
Yeah. I know when my
So
dad retired in like '94, and his was like $1,000 a month or something like that.
yeah,
And it's
so
still $1,000 a month, even 30 some years later, which is
so
kind of
I'm
stupid.
guessing
But
this
like,
guy.
I bet he don't have any bills or anything really.
You're right. You're right. But I'm still saying that, like, when he was active duty, adjusted for inflation, he's making about 160 grand a year, and
Yeah.
you don't get as much when you retire as you do when you're working actively.
Yeah.
So let's say he gets 100 grand a year, which is a wonderful retirement. That's still not go to Manhattan and throw money around.
I don't know. Manhattan was probably a lot more affordable considering like compared to now.
And when I say
30-some
100
years
grand, I'm
ago.
speaking in today's dollars.
Yeah.
So back then it might have been like 60 grand or something. But it's, I'm just talking about spending power.
Yeah.
It's definitely not Ferrari money, honey.
No.
It's definitely not Ferrari
Well,
money.
he had some money saved up because he
Yeah.
was waiting for this moment to do all this over Thanksgiving. So
Did you have any feelings about his insistence on seeing a sex worker?
I thought it was strange, but I also thought that it was something that he maybe had done when he was in the military because of that joke, which I think was probably real, that he told the family at Thanksgiving about the East meet the West and I'll be the bridge in between. And I was like, that's funny. And I noticed
That
the
was
one
in Da Nang.
the one son, I guess, or the one male at the end of the table, and he was like laughing, and everybody's looking at him like, "What are you laughing at?" It's like he'd heard it the first time, or for the first time, and never met this, uncle before.
I
but-
also like the fact that every time he met someone, he knew someone with their last name that he served with in Da Nang and would ask
Yeah.
him if they were related to
Yeah.
him. I don't know. It was a neat little
Yeah.
character trait.
I think he just wanted like he had a bucket list. He had
Yeah.
this, one last thing, or he wanted to enjoy himself, I guess.
Well,
He loves women, apparently. Like the whole movie, he made like comments about women and knew a lot about women. And when they were on the plane, he said the best word in the English language was 2 syllables, and I think that made Chris O'Donnell blush. And I love that scene.
I don't think I like that. I think a
Oh.
lot of that was just coming on too strong, and at his age, he needs to calm down.
I think we know some dirty old men that were just like that.
Doesn't mean I have to like it.
Well, I know, but I think, but it's real. Like, that's what I'm saying. I think there are people that are
Doesn't
really
mean
like
I have
that.
to like it though.
I know. I don't like it either, but like I think it's authentic. I really do.
But in the background, the whole time we're dealing with the final days, or what the colonel plans on being his final days with this baby's day out in New York. Only instead of baby, it's the colonel's day out.
Mhm.
But meanwhile, in the background, there's this whole private school thing because Chris O'Donnell is on a scholarship to a very expensive private school on par with Exeter, Phillips Exeter, whatever those fancy New England
It's an
academies
all
are called.
boys
Yeah.
school. Mhm.
He goes to the United School of Dead Poets. I call them all Dead Poet Society schools because they all look the same to a public school kid like
Bayard.
me. Yeah, Bayard. But anyway, he's going to get kicked out of school
Yeah.
because some rich kids did something. Somebody's got to take the fall for it, so why not the poor kid on scholarship?
Mhm.
And the colonel decides to represent him at the academic hearing, which, I never went to private school. Rich people have rich ways. Poor people have poor ways. I have poor ways. But man, if they do not make this seem like you're in front of the U.S. Supreme Court when they're having this suspension hearing at school.
And everybody watches it. I think they do that on purpose, so to try to embarrass you and to try to get you into speaking up.
Because our kids have never had a hearing like this.
No, but that's like, this is a private school. They can do their own thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was really interesting because I bet that's the way it really is. A judiciary hearing for
I could not tell you.
disciplinary judicial review or something like that. But I really do think that the head of the school did that on purpose just so that he could talk them into, or try to scare them into
Yeah.
to telling on the other kids.
Well, I personally never wanted to go to a private school with standards low enough to let me in. So I went to public school. But so this just turns into an excuse for Pacino to stand up and basically hold up a big poster that says, "To the Academy for your consideration," and give us a 20 freaking minute monologue. Even Shakespeare had the decency to stop after 8 minutes.
Was it 20 minutes long?
I felt like it. He just starts going and he doesn't stop.
Oh, I loved it.
I was
thought he had a
reading
lot to
things on
say.
my
That was
phone.
the climax.
I went
that was-
downstairs and I baked a frozen pizza and ate the whole thing. Came up, he was still going on.
No, I loved it. I thought that was probably the best part of the movie.
Well, that's the only part of the movie most people remember, and it's the
Mhm.
part that got him his award. But it just seemed, this time around, it seemed a little excessive. It seemed like he was trying too hard. But then again, I'm also feeling cynical about 30 years of movies that I've watched with more subtle performances.
Yeah, I think you're looking at the performance and not the substance of the movie. That's what you're like. For some reason, you're like stuck on the acting,
I'm-
and you're not stuck on the message, like
The-
and the way it's being like.
The
told.
acting definitely pulled me out of it.
Yeah.
And when I'm pulled out of it, it's hard to hit the message. What
Yeah.
do you think is the message here?
I think the message is like be thankful for what you have in your life and who you are, and then also to help others when you can. Like I think that was a big deal. Like Chris O'Donnell saved his life, stopped him from killing himself, so he turned around and was going to help him out. And I think part of that was like helping him build his confidence. Like you said, he was a real quiet
Yeah.
character. He was already struggling with integrity. Should I or shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Was I getting but what if I can't get into Harvard, taking the bribe or whatever? I think he learned a lot of things from this guy who was such a butthole, but he also helped save him and could change him, and then he turned around and helped him be more confident in himself because he was the other guy was really confident.
Maybe
He was a strong, confident character, even though he still had these problems where he wanted to die. And, I think Chris O'Donnell made him see that life was worth living, even if you can't see everything.
maybe this actually does have kind of a good Thanksgiving message. They
Yeah.
each looked at the other one's perspective and they took something from one another, and they each got a little bit stronger in the end for it.
Hmm.
And they each also had to face their own shortcomings and weaknesses and overcome them. I don't know that that's so much a Thanksgiving message, but it is some kind of message of the value of community.
Yeah.
Two closed off, lonely people. Boy, I sound like I'm describing a romance when I
Yeah.
said that. You know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
Two people who just needed a friend, finding a friend in an unlikely place. And because it is over Thanksgiving, I like the idea that every year until the Colonel passed away, that they spent Thanksgiving together.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a nice little touch? They
It
should have put that in the
would, yeah.
postscript.
Or giving thanks for your life and the life that you live, and where you are in life. And I think integrity was a huge thing. It was a huge theme in this.
I've got a mind-blowing question for you.
Mm.
If this movie had been made post-Columbine, do you think he threatens to take a flamethrower to a school?
I mean, he would have said it, but I think like they wouldn't have.
I think it would have not been in the movie. I don't know. It just
I don't
seems
know.
like the
I
kind
think
of
it
thing
would
they pick
have
out of the movie.
because he was. I mean, he's in the military. A lot of those guys just say whatever they want. Like they don't care what other people think.
I'm trying to remember the movies that got delayed or canceled entirely after Columbine, but it was kind of crazy. Anything that even insinuated violence in school. Like, I couldn't imagine if Heather's being made post-Columbine, at least in that, like, brief window. But that's
Yeah.
the only thing I think is, like, today you don't ever see a hero threatening to shoot up a school.
Well, like I think I had mentioned this to you before. The week before this would have aired, that there was the Friends episode where Monica and Chandler go on their honeymoon, and they get stopped at security in the airport. And he says something about a bomb in the airport, and they had to cut that whole scene like out of that because it was supposed to air that week of September 11th.
I did not know that.
Mhm.
That's, like, totally new to me.
Yep.
Even though I do know that, like, I can't remember if they were heavy metal or hip hop, but there was a band that on Tuesday, September 11th, released an album that the cover had the Twin Towers blowing up.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, you have to look
Is
that
that
up sometime.
real?
It
Like,
is real. It is so
That's
real.
so weird.
Yeah, it is so real.
Yeah.
But I guess it's time to start wrapping this up. We actually talked a lot more than I expected
This
to.
is it was weird because
Yeah.
I really liked Son-in-Law a lot more than this movie.
And I mean, I didn't even really have a good framework for what to talk about. So I
Yeah.
just said, hey, what do you think about this movie? And then
Yeah.
we found ourselves having a lot more to say than trying to follow the normal cues that we use.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we'll run through the routine here at the end. And I just want to ask you, do you have a most memorable moment from this?
My most memorable moment was in the courtroom. That's probably my favorite one because I was
Same
like,
here.
yeah, stick it to him.
And you know, in my memory for a long time, it was a courtroom in my memory because I
Yeah.
would conflate the Few Good Men scene with this scene, and then you watch it and you're like, wait, that's not a courtroom, that's a private school cafeteria
Yeah.
or something.
Well, and I like how the way Al Pacino earlier says, you know what's going to happen. Your friend is going to, he's going to scream and he's going to tell everybody what, who the three kids were that were involved. He's going to squeal like a pig is what he said. He's going to squeal and then you're going to get in trouble and blah, blah, blah. Like, I think
He
that's,
knew exactly how it played.
how it was going to play out. So I think that's why he made it a point to be there
Yeah.
for him.
And it was also kind of touching. This guy needed a dad,
Hmm.
and the colonel needed a family of any kind.
Yeah.
Because this guy has lived a life that has left him with nothing
Yeah.
but loneliness in his old age.
Well, some of my other favorite parts were with the kids. Like at the beginning,
Oh, yeah,
when
his
the
little
kid,
niece and nephew. or what have you.
the niece says,
grandniece
she
and
goes,
grandnephew.
"Ooh, you got pimples. The colonel's not gonna like pimples
was
because he likes a smooth face,
Yeah.
a clean face." And then at the end, when he said, "Francine, can you take me for a ride?" and she's like, "No." And then the little baby, he grabs his hand and walks in with a suitcase. Like there was,
Yeah.
I think things changed. His heart softened
Yes,
a little bit. So I really
definitely.
liked like the scenes with the children.
It was like the Grinch. His heart grew 3 sizes that day.
Yeah.
do you have a best character in this movie?
Oh. I hate to say it, but I think it's Al Pacino.
I think it's
I
the-
think it's something weird about it's something strange about him that I really
I think
really
it's,
like.
I think it's the nephew, the
Yeah.
only one who stood up to
Yeah.
Pacino in this whole movie.
Yeah.
Everybody was just bowing down to him.
Yep.
The one guy stood up to him.
Oh, another character that you said was another actor that was familiar was the old lady, the lady who saw them and witnessed them, like the secretary or something that witnessed the kids. She's been in a lot of stuff too.
I don't think I recognized
Yeah,
her.
if you hear her voice, you didn't see what she looked like, you would know she's in some other movies like that are
the only
popular right now.
the only school secretary actress that I know of is Edie McClure from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, anyway, so this lady has been in
Spazzoids
some
geeks.
other stuff.
So, were there any themes? We already really talked about the Thanksgiving themes and the themes beyond. I don't know if there's
Yeah.
much else to say, but it's about two people with weaknesses learning to trust each other and both getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the thanks grade? How Thanksgiving is this Thanksgiving movie? How holiday is this? How ABCDF? What's your academic grade for
How
the
holiday?
Yes, the thanks grade. It's like a scare grade for Thanksgiving movies. Would you like me to go first?
I'd probably say a C.
I'm gonna say less than that. I think this is and I'm who picked it, so I take all the blame.
Yeah.
But this is just barely a Thanksgiving movie. I really should have found something a little more thankful. I don't think this
I don't
feels
know. I think
Thanksgiving
it's
at all.
thankful for your life.
Yeah, I'll give it a D plus.
Yeah.
Now the turkey leg score. This movie is like highly rated by critics. It's in the 80s. It's certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. It won an Oscar for its actor, got nominated for a bunch of other stuff. Does it stand the test of time? What is your turkey leg score for Scent of a Woman?
I give it a 3 turkey legs.
I'm
about
gonna
mid. It's mid.
I'm gonna give it the same thing God gave a turkey, 2 turkey legs.
Oh, why?
Because it's competently made. In fact, it's got some beautiful shots. Martin Brest did I say his name right? It almost sounds like
Yeah, breast.
okay, because for a minute I'm thinking like, am I thinking of boobies or something?
No.
I thought it was best, and I said breast, but it is breast. But Martin Brest is he's a good director. He's a competent director. This has not only competently made, it has good shots. It looks good. I just think it's too long, and when a movie's too long, it better have some. I don't know either. It needs to be more than slice of life if it's going to be really long for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I give it 2 turkey legs. I think honestly, I also think it's kind of forgettable. There's other movies that have this message that are better than this that have been made since then, probably, and before then, honestly. So that's why I give him my 2 turkey legs. Sorry, I apologize to any of those Robert De Niro fans out there. I'm sorry,
You
Al
mean
Pacino.
Al Pacino? You're gonna do that all the way to the end.
I did that on purpose that time. That's why
Yeah.
I made the face.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
That was my De Niro impression. Do I look like De Niro when I do that?
No.
Okay. Here's my Pacino. Hoo-ah, hoo-ah. Okay. I think that's where we usually wrap this up. So the things I want to say: be thankful for what you got. Be thankful for what you don't need. Be thankful for your family. And most importantly, be thankful for movies.